9 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Here we go. Welcome, everybody. And I think it's working. Is it? Yes. I think I see the wigglies. Give me some feedback. Is the audio working? I got no Tony today. He's at a machine gun shoot. So I figured I'd just go live for a little bit and see what's up. I think we missed it last week, if I'm not mistaken. Just posted this over on the blog. The Modern Gunsmithing Room. So I got some workbenches over there. I think those are pretty handy. I was just looking at some workbenches over at the school. The school always sells some value here. I imagine a lot of schools do that. And pennies on the dollar. Toolboxes, those are tougher to get a hold of. Really, pawn shops around here, secondhand tool place. Might be a place to get some toolboxes cheap, but every used toolbox I ever bought wasn't worth it. So I think I'd probably just buy my toolboxes new if I was buying toolboxes. These big ones at least. If you plan on keeping them a while. Sounds like some giant truck is driving around outside. So I guess I gotta go check and see if the audio is working over here. My ankle's getting bit by mosquitoes. What's going on here? Oh, maybe I don't have any audio. My ankle's getting bit by mosquitoes. Oh, I guess I do. All right. All right. So, anybody have any workbench organizers like these tool mount things on the wall here? We've had pegboard before. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of it. But in a communal tool bench, it worked all right because then everybody could see where the tools go and come from. Shane did a pretty good job of putting like useful tools up there. It wasn't wasted time. But at home, I don't like doing that. I don't need all my tools out. Tool bags. What do we got for a tool bag here? Oh, I've gotten a bunch of these lately. They're okay. I haven't used them for small tools. I haven't figured out what to use them for. Drawer organizers. I think I got a set of these one time. And I'm thinking about, what's the word, slimming down or getting rid of a bunch of my sockets. I don't use them at all. And that drawer is so full of extra stupid sockets that it's always jamming up on me. So I'm thinking about just dumping a bunch of sockets I never use. For some reason, I keep all my socket sets like if they're gold or something. And we're not getting much feedback. Woods is out there. He hasn't said nothing except taco. And having a mat on the ground. See, I'm back and forth on those mats. If I was standing in front of a place, I definitely like mats. I like having comfortable, what's that called? Like forgiving surfaces to stand on if you're going to stand for a length of time. But I also like to sit on a stool, and that doesn't roll around on a mat very good. So it's kind of back and forth on that. New York Outcast is out there. I don't know what kind of workshop you've got. I'm just going through this, looking to see if my blog post posted all right. Let's see. Then we got tool sets. I never liked tool sets because they're almost always garbage. So let's take a look at this one and see what's wrong with it. Yeah, this kind of thing. First, I'm never going to leave it in that box. That being said, I do leave one of these in the vehicle so that it's all together. But at the house, I don't leave it in this box. I guess I could see leaving it in the box if you're going to be carrying it around to do stuff, but I would rather put it in drawers. Anyway, this thing is the screwdrivers. There's no way I'm using those screwdrivers for anything. And then, where's a picture of the stuff? The socket set, yeah, it might be all right. I don't know if I'd work on a car with it, but probably be all right for putting together shelves and junk like that. The pliers, I'm sure, are not that great. And the wrenches and stuff are a dime a dozen, so I could just get a set of them anywhere. I mean, I guess this would be all right. How much does it cost? $269 now. Unless these things are really nice tools and I'm missing something. I'm assuming they must be. But I think I'd rather go with independent, like smaller sets of specific tools I'm looking for. Let's see, a rotary toolkit. Oh, this is like a Dremel. I think it's probably worth having one of these around. Got to be careful and have one of them around guns, though. You can really monitor your guns. So if anybody's got any topics or anything, Tony's on a machine gun shoot. I figured I'd go live in case anybody's used to showing up at this time, doing something. Don't want to leave you hanging. But, we don't prepare nothing for this show. I don't want to answer a bunch of questions. Let's see. I've been using half of the basement plus carport. Yeah, basements were nice. We don't have basements out here for some dumb reason. Probably because it's so hard to dig a basement out here. It's not easy. Like in the whole glacier, like parts of the country that the glaciers wailed on. We didn't really get any glaciers out here, so it's all rock. So I guess it costs too much to dig out a basement. But I would think a basement would do good in Arizona. Temperature-wise, everybody could just go in the basement during the day. But whatever, we don't have them. The other thing is basements get wet back east, and we wouldn't have that issue out here as much. But like I said, we really don't have basements. Carports? Yeah, I've converted carports. That's what I have. That I just made into sheds. All right, so what else we got? This set is around $2,500. I don't know. Is anybody ever going to go? I mean, I guess after a flood or something, or why would you go buy an entire workshop of stuff? I don't see that happening. Most people probably start with some table, or back in my day, we would start with somebody ripping out kitchen cabinets, and then you'd put kitchen cabinets somewhere, like in your garage or your basement, and then it was started out being your workshop. And at least that's why a lot of people I know ended up with a workbench or a workshop in their garage, was something like that. So nobody went out and purposely bought them, or very few people did. But having these kind of tables and stuff are pretty nice. But let's see. I'm going to go. They can get wet. I use pallets and plywood for storage, flooring. Interesting. Having like a bunch of pallets on the ground, so they got some. I wouldn't want to lose that much height, but I can see what you're talking about. We don't have to worry about floods as much here, but when a water pipe breaks, we'll have the same issues as everybody else with water damage. So I definitely like keeping stuff off the ground. Like this picture here that's on the screen is a fake, it's technically AI, but it's what I like to do is have everything on wheels on some sort of, it's just a concrete floor. So one, you can move stuff out of the way if you have to drop something back there, if you got to change cords or something. So many tables like this are going to have some kind of power system set up, or speakers, or maybe even networking or something. So being able to just move them to get to cords and stuff is always handy. But then, cleaning up, it's super easy when you have everything on wheels. Then you get that accomplished, right? Like there's no way anything's going to flood to the point where it gets above those wheels. And then even if it does, it kind of has to get pretty high before it starts to hit anything. You'll lose some space, but it's down on the ground. Let's see. The other problem with this, or a problem with this, is if you have little dudes like this guy, they'll drop balls and bones and crap underneath of them real easy. So that's an issue. But again, if you can roll them out or stick a, handle of something down there and get them back out of there. Yeah, for storage. But again, I don't think too many people are going to just sit down and make a budget and buy $2,000 worth of stuff for a shop. I mean, I guess there must be some circumstances where that happens, but I think more likely people have got some tools that they start with. I'm assuming is like most people, my tools have accumulated as I've had to do stuff. So if I have to, if something breaks, I'll just buy the tool to fix it, and then I've got that tool. I guess I'll rent large tools, but usually I just buy a tool. So I probably have all kinds of dumb plumbing tools I'll never use again, and certainly air conditioning tools I rarely use, if ever again. And those are just drawers and toolboxes full of stuff that I'll never need. Some of my computer stuff, now that I'm thinking about it, is old. So some of the junk we used to use taking apart computers and stuff, I'll just never need again. That stuff they put on the back of like a desktop computer. I guess somebody might use that. But to like fill in where you remove a card or something, like all that little crap and screws and little things to deal with moving hard drives around inside of a case. I guess some of that stuff is probably still useful, but I haven't used a desktop computer in so many years. So another feature of these kind of desks is you can just set a laptop down. It just leave some space, like that toolbox space there. Leave some space there for a laptop, and you don't even have to leave the laptop out there. Anyway, I'm just checking to see if that was published okay. Doesn't look like it's getting much response, but it's a tool thing. Let's see. What's it saying? We've got sub pumps in the basement. Pump out the water automatically. No reason to do a project if you don't get a tool out of it. Pretty much. Well, if you save money, hopefully you end up with enough tools after a while that you're not buying tools every time you have to do something. Now, I've known people, Cass is saying, has a bunch of auto tools and carpentry stuff. When we would do work for a living, like the paint stuff and the concrete stuff, trying to think what else. Some of the sawhorses and saws and junk. But like I remember when we did a lot of porches and air conditioning, and every once in a while a concrete slab. So we would just pawn that stuff, or I didn't. I was working for a guy, but he would just pawn that stuff, and it would just be in pawn, basically, kind of paying for the other stuff to come out of pawn. Of course, it was in the olden days when we were poor and cheap, but there's a lot of people I know that will, or I've known people over the years that will buy tools for a job, and then just get rid of them or give them away, or try to get rid of them when they're done with the job. And I could see doing that, like again with concrete tools where they're huge and you don't really need them that much. But something when it comes to like chopping down a chunk of a tree out here, I could see getting rid of something. I've had a chainsaw forever, and I'll never need a chainsaw again, like a full-size chainsaw. I only had one tree in the yard. So once that came down, there was no need to own a chainsaw anymore. But I'm telling I'm going to throw away my chainsaw. But I know some people would. At some point, it's not going to work anymore, I'm sure. In fact, I don't even remember last time I turned it on. So I don't really have anything. Wood just saying got a bunch of stuff from his dad. Some are 50 years old. Yeah, I got a bunch of tools from my grandpa when he got rid of them, and they're awesome. Like, they're really well made, and they're okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like a screwdriver. Like I say, I wouldn't use the new stuff when I've got the good ones from his collection, or just from my collecting them over the years. But the problem is most of his stuff is kind of general tools, and most of the junk I've had over the years was specialty tools for whatever work I was doing. Scaffolding and climbing gear. I ended up having a ton of climbing gear right now, or I guess safety gear for climbing. Like, it shows up when I'm grabbing it, and I can't leave that kind of stuff sitting there. Hold on, I'm tapping flies, or mosquitoes actually. So I've got maybe 6 of those like really strong nylon strap things that you have carabiners on them. I don't know what to do with them. I use them for tying up the dogs right now, but I'll have to eventually sell them. Black Guns Gardens out there, welcome. Hopefully the garden's doing good. I think we're about to pretty much close shop up for the year gardening out here over the winter, but I am thinking about how I want to try to get the garden going next year. I'm trying to do I'm not going to bother with food or anything, but I am thinking about doing something that attracts birds, maybe butterflies and critters, or not critters, but butterflies and bugs, the beneficial bugs or the interesting looking bugs. Figure out a way to do that, or maybe predatory bugs, something that gets interesting bugs, but not the mosquitoes, I guess is what I'm getting at. And certainly not crickets. I'm sick of crickets. One pair of pliers and channel locks. Thing about channel locks is the new ones, the Knipex ones, I think, are freaking cool. Like there's some really, really neat ones they've figured out with science or math or something, how to put angles on these things where they're just really strong or they can hold really tight. And I've played with them at shot in places where they've had them on display, but I refuse to pay $40 for a little tiny pair of pliers, so I haven't bought them yet. Not when I have old ones, but every time I look at my old ones, I think about how simple they are compared to the new ones. And the smallest ones I have are still kind of like medium today. They make some really small ones that people carry around. Kind of want them for camping and stuff. They'd be awesome for like pulling stuff off the fire and just, having an extra useful grasp on stuff would be awesome. Debris field. Yeah, I hear that. We have pretty much dirt all the time, just rocks and dirt. So anything, I shouldn't say dirt, it's all rocks and sand. So if I want to have anything grow, I have to bring dirt in. So I've bought dirt over the years and I have a lot of it, but it's all in raised containers, or it's all in basically buckets and bags and stuff, so that it's not on the ground. The ground is just rocks and stone. I don't even think you could rototill where we live. It's really just desert underneath of it all. But anyway, then it turns into like Little House on the Prairie a couple of times a year when the rain hits. Well, this grass comes out of nowhere, and then there's grass everywhere. It's horrible. Not really grass, weeds and junk. Richard's out there. Welcome. Got a lot of people joining us today. So if you got topics, like I say, Tony's dead a machine gun shoot, so I figured I wouldn't do the ask gun questions. Simple bag or bucket of plumbing tools, hand tools today is hundreds of dollars. For sure. I used to use the bucket thing. I thought that was the coolest thing whenever I think when they first came out, at least first time I found them, took a 5-gallon bucket because we had a ton of them at the time. And I was working at a restaurant and put that thing around it. I was always looking for some way to grab stuff up onto the roof because we're always doing air conditionings and other junk up on the top of the roofs of these restaurants. We have like 17 restaurants. And going up on top of them every single day was a pain in the butt. So I came up with about 1 million different, or I went through about 1 million different toolboxes and tool setups to get mostly the air conditioning stuff. But then, sometimes we would just go up there and constantly battling with pigeons on some roofs. Some restaurants, for whatever reason, just, have bad motors on fans and stuff. So you're just up on roofs a lot. So I tried that bucket for a while and it works, but it's really good for certain things where you're going to have like a lot of screws or nails or something, and you need them inside the bucket anyway, and then just some tools. And then sometimes it works for power tools. But I ended up going with kind of the backpack for a while, and then just a bag. I just ended up going with kind of the standard tool bag. And I would just have multiple tool bags. A bunch of people joining us, and I don't know, maybe I should figure out a way to get some topics going or something. I was thinking about doing some setups because I actually have some chores to do, I guess you could say, some like repairs and things to do, some mostly repairs. And I've got a bunch of tools and they're all laying on top of my old tools. I really need to go through and kind of sort them out and get rid of junk that I don't use anymore. They have so many things with cords on them that I don't know why I keep them, because I've got the cordless versions of them now. And, you know, why do I just don't know if I need to keep the corded versions anymore. So if I get rid of that junk, I can start to come up with like a little bag to carry around the house. I usually have one in the van and then one in the house. And then I've been thinking about setting up a bag that I can take to people's places. I have enough drills that I could have a drill in my home one and then one in the one I take. But, you know, when people ask you to do stuff, having a bag that's kind of ready to go with that kind of junk is what I used to take when I would do restaurant work. Like, 'cause I never knew what we were doing preventive maintenance. And then, you know, we'd show up at the restaurant and the manager would give us a big list of shit that was wrong with their store. And then, you know, we'd spend the rest of the day or whatever working on it. So I just showed up with, you know, a little bit of everything. Every once in a while I'd have to go pick up something else, and we'd have like a whole truck to do certain things. Like if we were working on the parking lot or something, we'd have like a whole truck full of it was already destroyed for that kind of stuff. But I kind of like that idea of having a bag that has got a little bit of everything. You ever had, you know, those like trays that have compartmentalized? I would have one with washers and one with fasteners and things like that. And then that way you've got 3 or 4 of those trays and you got almost a hardware store in there. You know, you have like a little handful of everything, but you almost always never need just a handful of stuff when you're fixing things. Of course, I had the truck back then, and my truck had toolboxes over the bed, or whatever you call like the walls of the bed. And I had tons of screws and all my replacement motors and fan blades and crap and shit like that in there. Tons of like light switches. So if something was broke, I didn't have to go to a hardware store almost ever. I just had to fill up my truck once in a month or so. Yeah, exactly. I was thinking about buying an ambulance. There was an ambulance that I bid on, but I bid $2,000 on it. And then I'm going to go look what it's up to now. I haven't looked in a minute. It was at $5,000 the last time I looked, and I don't have that kind of money. But an ambulance would be awesome for doing work out of. Have like all the stuff for the oxygen I would turn into compressed air and then run all my power tools with air. You know, using the system. Whoops, wrong thing. Using the system that was for the bringing oxygen in. Man, it's still sitting at $2,000, but the reserve isn't. Or I mean, it's sitting at $5,000, but the reserve hasn't been met yet. So who knows how much it's going to end up going for. Now I got to remember to go look. So I might end up with an ambulance here, but I doubt it. Pack rats out there, still on the road. Yeah, it's definitely not a dead air without Tony here. He was in Pennsylvania doing a shoot from that lawyer group up there. I think he might have said it's their 35th annual. That's pretty crazy. Let's go see what Big Sandy is. I guess I can put that back on the screen so everybody has something to look at. Big Sandy is not a superstore. It's actually, how about if I type in shoot? There we go. Does it say how many years it's been going? Shooters, spectators, $50 at the gate. Wow, that's definitely gone up. $50. Wow. Shooters are $400. That is not cheap. Wonder why shooters are $400 and vendors are $175. That's interesting. So maybe if I went back and looked at the wiki, is there a wiki? Oh, you know what? You don't even have to do anything anymore. You just go to AI mode. I'll just say since when. Began in October of 1985. So that's 25 years. So if I read it right, then Tony's shoot's been going on even longer than that. Leave it Wednesday. Have you been up to the Big Sandy shoot before? Let's see. I'd like to see sporting a Ghostbusters Hertz. When I was a kid, we had one of them. We had an ambulance like that. But I didn't like it at all because you can't stand up in it. It's whatever. I knew a kid when I was, oh man, how many jobs ago was that? It was in Arizona. One of my jobs when I was a kid in Arizona, there was a girl that worked there and she had a hearse, and it was a hearse. But I mean, it was neat, I guess, but look underneath the hood, it was like, giant, and it was the kind, I think it was like the Ghostbusters one. It might have been bigger. It might have been older. Weren't the older ones like that? I don't know what year the Ghostbusters one, but this one had big wings and stuff, fins, whatever they called them. But no, I never liked them when I was a kid. Like I say, I had one to play on, and I didn't like it then, and I never liked them since. But they're also too big. Like, I don't like parking my van. My van's whatever, the 11-foot wheelbase, and it's horrible. It takes up 2 parking spaces. I hate it. You can't turn good. Seems like everything has gone up when it comes to events. Yeah, for sure, right? It's crazy. I guess it's all inflation or whatever, but still, back in my day. Let's see, this is the first year I've heard of a car show charging $25 a person to walk around. Wow, yeah, really. It's not like a parking lot charges you to be there. So that's probably the organization trying to make up for lack of membership, activity or something. Speaking of that, gun shows. I guess we should be talking about that. Oops, what am I doing? Click this. There we go. I guess I can't do that. That's something that would be good to see happen again in our culture. However, it would come out now. Like, I mean, today, what would a gun show be like? It would probably have a wall of computers with a bunch of kids playing the video games on it or something. I'm going to put this one up now that I'm looking at all my different backgrounds. Tomorrow's Every Second Matters. That'll give me a chance to riff on that here in a second. Has a cool siren. Yeah, the one I was looking at is a new one. It's like a 2011, but for fire departments and stuff, that's probably ancient, But for me, it's newer than my van. So, but I think it was a Ford, or it is a Ford. I guess I could handle a Ford. But the reason I was looking at it, or one of the reasons I'm looking at it, is it's like they're basically moving it along to another department because they didn't pull anything off of it. Sometimes they pull the lights off. This one, they didn't pull the lights off. They almost always pull the radio out. This one, they did pull the radio out. And then they almost always pull the sirens and stuff out. And this one, they left the sirens in, as far as I can tell. And then the lights is kind of hit or miss, where sometimes if they need the lights for something, they'll keep the lights, use them in another ambulance or something, or keep them just on the shelf for repairs, since I know they're just, getting their surplus in the ambulance. So a lot of times you buy them and they're kind of in some stage, like my cop car is like that. They took the lights and crap off of it when they sold it from Albuquerque, and they just cut the wires, so it's just shitty. But there's no internal stuff either, so there's just extra wires in there all over the place, and nothing. There's no switches and there's no lights, so it would be I could probably salvage some of the wiring by patching it, but it would be just use it to feed the real wires. But yeah, a lot of times they do pull the sirens and junk out. Now the old sirens, I don't know. I like the new sirens because they're electronic and you just push a button. Some of the old ones though were mechanical. I never got that into them to collect them or anything. But whenever I had, for this cop car and for my last van, I ended up buying a bunch of push bars off of, where was I buying them? I was buying them somewhere. Maybe I was finding them on Craigslist, I think. But anyway, I ended up paying like $5 a push bar. But I kept buying the wrong push bars. Like they're kind of like buying the trailer hitches. If you don't know what you're buying, you're just kind of hit or miss in it. And for $5, I was hit or missing it. I didn't care. So I bought one that worked and looked stupid, and I kept buying them. And I finally found the right push bar for my cop car. And by the time I was done trying to find one for the van, I ended up with like 4. And instead of throwing them away, I just got them laying in the backyard looking cool. But only one of them has a siren on it. But the siren looks like a toaster. It doesn't look like anything because it's the modern, electric siren. Let's see. Nothing seems affordable besides local day hiking or shooting a 22. I don't know about all that. Besides, you can sit around making money. That's a fun thing to do. Sit around making some money. It's got to suck for parents now that $20 is more like 100. I don't know. I would think, I don't know. If a kid's just a money suck, yeah. But I think that kids have so much money that they can make money. Like, I think that kids could probably be, I would challenge a kid to make money. I know a couple of kids that are making some money right now playing the video games online. And that's just the one thing, right? There's like got to be eBay and stuff. Like there's so many things that kids could be doing to make money. God dang it. What's going on? It's like 50 degrees at night, but we still have mosquitoes out. You'd think we'd get some relief from the mosquitoes. It hasn't rained for a while, so there must be some water stuck somewhere around my back door. Because the back door is open and I'm getting swarmed with mosquitoes. Normally I just let Tony talk and I'm over here swatting the mosquitoes when I'm dealing with this, but every time I stop swatting it, he comes back and lands right in my face. I'll try again. All right, so we got the Every Second Matters thing going up over there. Let's see who these people are that are showing up. Nobody's over on X, so probably everybody knows what Every Second Matters is. But, we've been doing that since 2013 now, or it's been going since 2013. Has it, though? What's that, 22 years? So, no, 10, 12 years. 13, 23, 25, 12 years. So, the whole idea, though, was we were all sitting around after the Sandy Hook situation back in 2012, at the end of 2012. Obama comes out at the beginning of 2013 during SHOT Show and says about how since nobody's doing nothing about guns to his satisfaction, he's going to use executive actions. He comes up with 23 executive actions he's going to pull, sign the paper on that's going to save us from guns in this country. And 2013, we were kind of getting our legs on the internet. Like the internet was established. The internet was fast already. Like 2010, probably the internet finished getting fast. From like 2000 to 2010, the internet existed and a lot of people used it, but every day more people were still joining. By 2013, I'd say everybody who was going to use the internet was using the internet. Some new people were joining every day, but it wasn't anything like the herds of new people joining. And a lot of that had to do with how fast it was going. Cable and DSL happened. Cell phones happened, and cell phone services got fast enough, like 5Gs or whatever, so that you could use the internet wherever you were. And that made the internet useful and fun for everybody. So from 2010-ish to now, what we've seen is the development of the internet. So at that time, 2013, we're really not unified. Like the internet is there as a tool, but it hasn't been utilized at all. So we're all standing around on the internet looking at each other, listening to Obama say 23 executive actions are going to be used against you. And we're all like, what? So I guess what I'm trying to describe is it's not like we didn't have a thing then and we don't have today somebody orchestrating us, right? Like we don't have some organization that tells us what to do and we all do it. We have lots of people who say stuff that's good and some people act on it, but there's certainly no call to arms that anything happens and all gun owners do it. It's never been like that, right? It's not like that today. It wasn't like that then. So in 2013, when Obama said that, we had a lot of us online and we, he had a couple of 2 or 3 YouTube channels that were large, but again, nothing like what we have today. So it was very small, independent groups of people who all had obviously a similar reaction of nope, like hell no, somewhere in there. And we spent a year happened where none of those executive actions were amounted to nothing. He was challenged in all different kinds of ways from all different kinds of people. And the concept of that, I don't know what to call it, like that bullshit that you can just blame the guns for something that happened, and that's going to solve everything and everybody's going to be satisfied with that. That just, is not the way it concluded. So at the end of, November, somewhere around now in 2013, we were all a year into having these live conversations, kind of a lot, like almost every single night. I personally, I was really enjoying the internet back then, the potential of it. Like I say, I had been on the internet for like 13 years and seeing the gun community become a thing. And we were really active and communicative. I don't know what to call it. Like we chatted a lot and a lot of people were there and it was very open. It's very welcoming, I thought. And it was a pretty good situation, I thought. So we're having a live chat and we're just doing like we're normally doing, no agenda really. But I think what it started with, if I remember right, was some kids or somebody talking about campus carry and the idea of like, what can we do on campus to get the schools to let us carry? Because we're old enough, but the schools really, really hate guns. And it's just not cool. So the problem with school carry is that somebody who's interested in it, if you're lucky, they're a freshman, and they are worried about it for 4 years, but then they graduate and they go around with the rest of their life, and the organization often, doesn't live on. And we can see that by the, half a dozen carry group organizations, campus carry organizations that have existed over the years. All right, I need to cough a bunch of times. Did I bring water? Used to having Tony here to talk. Yeah. So anyhow, the result was we all kind of sat around brainstorming on how somebody could campus carry or what they could effectively do on a campus. And if I remember, oops,
kick-ass stuff.
If I remember right, the idea was that if somebody said something like an open holster, like an empty holster, and then somebody said, "Oh, and you can't carry around an empty holster at school; you get in trouble." Or that would cause too much commotion or something. So then it went to, well, what if you had like a pro-gun shirt? And then the same thing, like, oh, you can't do that. That would be illegal. There's no First Amendment at schools. So that's when it became like, well, if there was a national campaign that you were just being part of, you weren't trying to, stir the boat or something. You were stir the waters. You're just participating in a national campaign. Maybe that would work. I think that's how the conversation went. And then it went to, oh, well, what should the national campaign be? And then I think it just expanded from, if it's going to be a national campaign, then why would it be focused on campus carry only? And then it was like, why should it be open carry only? Why should it be carry only? What if it's just the Second Amendment? And I think that was around the time, I know I was throwing it out there, but I kind of felt like, what's the word? Like we were kicking ass. Like we had been challenged with these 23 executive actions, this kind of unprecedented attack on gun ownership. And our reaction was to resist that independently. And because a bunch of people independently resisted, it was ineffective. Like those threats were ineffective. Any executive actions that he wrote were ineffective. And the news and stuff just didn't work, right? It all bounced off of us. And we were all seeing that. And anyway, so we would have these conversations. And it kind of evolved into this. Sorry, I'm getting a bunch of messages. Got to figure out how to change that because that's not the alert I want on my phone. I don't know why it's going to some default phone company default like alert there. Anyhow, so when we kind of were having these discussions, we decided that there could be something that could be done on the national level to keep that, what's the word? I think the enthusiasm, to keep the momentum, maybe that's a better word, but to keep the concept alive that this there was a fight there's something, what's the word, like the many together equals more than the sum of the parts or something, and that was a powerful time to have been there watching it, because again, there was no organization. We all know what was going on with the NRA now, right, with 2020 hindsight, and we all know from looking that nothing was done none of the other organizations stepped up and said, we're going to champion this. They all just do exactly what they do now. So because there was no leadership, we all experienced a resistance to tyranny, essentially, by or the potential for tyranny, at least, by just, again, grassroots. I would call it, like, just a bunch of people doing something. And we weren't like all like everybody. There was no way to say everybody do this at the same time, or everybody, show up here. Like, none of that. It was just a consistent, no, we don't want this. No, we never asked for this. No, this isn't the answer. And because that came from everywhere all the time to every one of those stupid concepts, it was successful. And it's not like, I shouldn't say it was successful. We were successful in that the attacks on us as individuals weren't successful, because we came together to collectively, I guess, say no. That's a communist way of saying it, but that's what happened. So anyway, Every Second Matters is just like a concept, at least in my mind, a concept to remember that era, or remember that possibility, or remember what happened then, or whatever else you want to think about it. But we've decided after, and I think there was like 2 or 3 chats where you can just listen to the chats for a couple hours and get all this. But I think we all kind of decided, okay, why don't we just do it on one day? And what if we did it every month? What if we do it on I forgot what it came out to. Oh, the second day of the month, though. Because then it jumps around, and it's never, it's not always on a Tuesday. It's not on a holiday. Sometimes it's on a holiday, probably, but rarely. And it's not always like on a Tuesday or a weekend or something. So the idea is to remember the Second Amendment, what it means, and to create awareness for that Second Amendment on the second day of the month, in however ways you want to do it. We came up with this logo just to have a logo. I don't remember whose idea that was, but the logo came from Artisan Tony. He's the one that made it. Everybody thought it was cool. I think the original logo is this one, because of whatever font he was using had no little dots on the 2. So the 2 is like regular, and all the rest of the letters look like a sponge, or like they got, something a bit, like something weathered them or something. And then I think the original artwork went up. Looks like, just looking at my wall of stuff here, we must have made the original sewn patches in 2004. Oh, I remember what it was. The original patch was this company that came along and was, no. We did the first set of patches, and that was probably, they weren't really, I guess it was called crowdfunding. You could say crowdfunding back then. Like, I was going to say, okay, I'll make 100 patches. Who wants some? I guess it was a pre-order more than anything. I guess that's the way you'd say it back then. So I think the first one was in 2000. Well, I'm looking at the wall here. The first one was in 2014 as a pre-order. But then the second ones, because those got sold out and everybody was asking for them, we made another batch. But there was a thing like a crowdfunding service that was supposedly going to be for the gun community. And it was going to be so that gun projects could be crowdfunded. And this was in 2015. This was 10 years ago. And we used that system to pre-order or fund the second set of Every Second Matters patches. And those are the ones that are a little bit larger than all the others. And they're tan, and are they tan and green, or are they tan and black? I lost one of them, so I don't know what the other one is, but one of them's tan and black. And then the other one was either green and black. I think the other one might have been green and black. So there was only like 100 of those. And then that company kind of went under. So then that's when I started making PVC patches. That was one of my first PVC sets was the Every Second Matters in 2015. So those have a rounded corner, and there might be a hundred of those or something like that. And maybe they glow. I'd have to shine a light on them. No, they don't glow. So then 2016 is when we did a big order of them. Probably that's when I started traveling. So I don't remember. Did we do a patch batch? I might have done some kind of a patch batch. That might have been one of the first patch batches. So that's when you start to see PVC square corner Every Second Matters patches. And then I didn't do any other ones until 2019. We did some new colors, and then in 2020 we did the blue ones, and that was it. So if you got one of those from one of those sets, then you got them. Otherwise, there's none others out there. Now I probably sewed a bunch over the years too, so probably got a bunch of them that are made on our machines here. But anyway, other than that, there's probably a few shirts that got sold with those print on demand things, and that's about it. The patches are over at the Beacon Group, so that's a place that gives jobs to differently abled folks, and everything that gets shipped from there is shipped by them. So I just gave them the patches a long time ago, and well, we pay them every month. That's what the Patreons help. There's a thing down at the bottom. Well, I guess it's talking about Tony today, but that's one of the things that the Patreons help with is because the Every Second Matters actually costs money every month, I guess, technically, because nobody buys any of those things. And I just remembered that we're paying the group over there, but who cares? So that's the story of the Every Second Matters logo, and then the patches. Like I said, there's shirts made print on demand out there, but I've only seen a couple of people ever wear them. I don't think anybody ever buys them. Maybe they do. Maybe somebody's getting rich off the Every Second Matters shirts, and I don't know about it. But that's not what it's for. It's really just to be a way to remember to do something on the second day of the month. I think we're down to maybe 3 people doing anything at this point. It's probably the lowest it's ever been, so this might be the end of it. It's been low before. Every once in a while, somebody will catch on and do it, and it'll be a thing, especially if the live shows talk about it, then it'll become a thing again. But, it's not incentivized. There's no reason to do it other than that whatever memory of 2013. Oh, and I guess that Second Amendment or whatever it is. Let's see. Got my McCoy from Hatfield with the best made. $69 combined. I don't know what that is. All right, well, so we've been going for about an hour. Nobody's saying much out there. So we talked about Every Second Matters a little bit. Talked about whatever else we talked about a little bit. And I'm sick of battling the flies here. So I guess I'll wrap it up unless anybody says anything. I'll give them all a second there to say something because there's a lag. But if nobody's got nothing else, I guess I'll take a second and jump over and see if Brooke has a show already on the schedule. If she does, she's the only one really putting an effort into focusing on mental health each week. I guess it's been a minute since we've mentioned that on the show. I like to give Tony as much time as he can to, or as he needs and he wants to chat about, the 2A4E project. But there's lots of projects going on out there that are of value for the community and the future. So a lot of stuff we do, well, most stuff people do is selfish, right? Like for themselves. Some of the stuff that gets done out there is for others. And then there's people out there that are doing stuff for the future, like not just for others, but for, like I would say, the greater good. And Brooke is definitely in that mix. We all talk about like, oh, I poked my eye out, or like, oh, my arm's broken, or like, oh, I ripped my groin apart or something. We don't have any problem talking about almost any of that kind of shit. But we never talk about like, oh, I'm stressing out, or I'm having difficulty, dealing with this, or, whatever, the mental issues that we could have as humans with 2025, like with the issues going on these days. Why can I not find Brooke's channel? What's going on? I guess I have to shut up for a second and try to read and not talk and talk. Oh, you know why? Because I'm on my wrong channel. Let me get to my actual channel and not be on the wrong channel. Happens when you have a bunch of channels. Sorry about that. So anyway, Brooke is live right
Might be
now.
on Hillbillies, but it is. Look at this.
Oh,
Look
she's
at this
corking me.
day.
Damn it! I'm
Right?
sitting over here
Blue
trying to chat her up, and
skies,
she's corking
fluffy
me.
clouds, New England.
There you go. Go watch
fall.
Brooke show.
Now, to be fair, I'm pretty sure I'm looking at y'all on a little tiny screen, so it looks pretty from what I can see. And the dog is happy because everybody loves a happy dog.
She's showing a dog.
But
Oh
the
man,
Matters tonight will not be on.
I got to pander to get a dog on here.
Beautiful outing. Thank you, Taryn. I get to see you tomorrow. How exciting! At least I think I do. Anyway, after church, of course. All right. So mental health matters. What are we going to talk about today? Well, let's see. How about enjoying the beautiful scenery? And you're being quarked. Oh, gee, Webs, I am so sorry. I you know me. I don't know everybody's schedule. I do apologize. And for those of you who are like me and don't realize what quarked is apparently G Webs is currently on his channel doing something. And it's most likely Fridays, or what day is today? Saturday. So are you with Tony Simon? Would be my guess. And but anyway. All right, so I'm harkering your show now. Oh, horking? What? Sorry. So for those of you who are like on Facebook instead of YouTube, this is the comment I'm looking at for G Webs. So it's not going to be crazy long because I just came back from a weekend with my mom, and we keep calling it a weekend, but it was a getaway. Around Halloween every year, my girlfriends and I all go to the girls only retreat where I get to recharge batteries, all that fun stuff. And so spent a couple days with my mom, away from the house, away from my email, away from kids, all of that sort of thing. We did come home, of course, and go Halloweening last night, otherwise known as trick-or-treating, for those of you who don't say Halloweening, because honestly, I just did that for the first time now. Mental health matters. I talked to a lot of people over the weekend, and I call the weekend because we're away, so it feels like a holiday. So over the holiday week, I guess I will say it. And it's just really amazing that I've been doing this since 2018. And there's so few people I've told, apparently, because they're like, really, you do that? And you folks that show up here every Saturday night, I've been doing this for a while, and I appreciate you always coming and checking stuff out and giving me thumbs up and sharing out, even if I am quarking your show. Is that what it's called? I've quarked, yes. I've only done this once before, but so every little bit matters. Even though I won't be on tonight at 9 p.m., I have faith y'all will maybe share this out so people can watch the replay. And the other part of it is life is not always according to plan. And I'm guessing that perhaps I'm going to get different people at 4 p.m. Eastern than I would be getting at 9 p.m. Eastern, just because life is always challenging. So what was one of the things on the getaway? Well, it was, you are awesome. And people love having you in their space. And sometimes your friends and family will remember to tell you this, and other times they will not. But know that you are a most amazing, spectacular person. Don't even start. Sorry, I'm talking to the dog, not you guys. And Fooey. Sorry. So Fooey is his correction word. So when he spins around like a top, yeah, we try to get him to not do that because he will drive us all nuts. Doesn't he look pretty? I wish I could zoom in so he was a little bit bigger. But you are awesome and amazing and spectacularly made. And we need to have friends around us that remind us of that, of the beauty and spectacularness in the world. And so that's what I got to spend this week doing. And my mental health matters for today is just, look at the beauty in the world. There's plenty of ugly. There is plenty of not so awesome. There are plenty of hardships. And I mean, I'm pretty sure most of you guys already know this, but, my mom's got dementia. And I got to tell you, dementia totally, we are totally Totally sucks. However, I got to spend time with her, and I got to spend time with a bunch of my friends who just accepted her where she was at. And it was awesome and spectacular and so soul fulfilling to hang out with folks like that. And that's what it's like every Saturday night when y'all pop on. Yes, G-Webs, you get out to Connecticut, I will happily let you pet that dog. I promise. Easily. So it's one of those things. What is your mental health? Your mental health is how are you perceiving things? Because right now we're looking at the field in my backyard, right? And it goes out over a valley. There's Route 8, which is a big highway. And if we were standing at the edge of the property, you'd be literally on a cliff looking at Route 8. But from here, you wouldn't know that there's just right over that bump over there is a big old highway. You might be able to hear the cars, but now that the wind has died down. But it's just like anytime we are stressing, we have to remember that it's all about perspective. Because if I look out here, the blue sky, the puffy clouds, the leaves that are turning, and then I come closer into my, all the dead trees. And then I could just look here and it's just like, okay, well, to some, that's not very pretty because this is what a dead forest looks like when there's trees and limbs and no leaves. But depending on your point of view, it's just another phase. It's like we are circular in how everything happens in our life, right? It's like we're born and someone takes care of us all of the time. And then we have toddlers. And then you become a toddler where you're taken care of and fed. So that's like being a dog for all of your life. And then you grow and you expand and you take care of others. And now, the older you get, then people start having to take care of you when you get really to the end of life. So we come full circle. And just to remember that our mental health is really and truly all about adjusting what you're looking at. Hello, Viejo. So yeah, spend some time studying for a test. Hold on. So apparently this is the G-Web show after all, since I just keep highlighting his stuff. Studying for a test, passed the SAM. It was a fun experience that I haven't done in a while. 8 out of 10 would recommend. Passing tests in general or the particular test that you took? That would be the question I have. But Viejo, to catch you up, that's my dog Hawkeye. And I wish I could make him bigger because it's really small. All right, so mental health matters. Do what makes sense. Take the time to look up at the sky from time to time. Change your perspective on things from time to time. Understanding all of the hard crap that we go through that sucks is what makes the joy so bright when we get to have it. Because this year has been spectacular. And, I think Tara's on here. It's like sometimes spectacular is like, ooh, sparkly and shiny. Other times spectacular is, like a spectacular mess. And when I say spectacular, it's all of those things. It's my kid's off to college. My daughter's looking to become a doctor. My, she's a senior in high school. And my mom is still with us. And even though parts of her brain are diminishing and disappearing on us, she's still here. And I get to learn how to deal with it. I get to learn all of the things that the dementia is teaching me, right? Because my poor mom is fighting through it. She's literally getting to grieve herself as she knows she's slipping away. And that's rough. And for those of us around her, we also get to do that same thing, grieve the loss of the person we once knew. And that was the cool thing about this weekend, is that my girlfriends had never really spent any time with my mom before, and they just met her where she's at. And sometimes I guess we got to remember to make sure we're meeting ourselves where we're at. Because it is super, super important. Saria fan, how are you, my friend? On your break. Okay, well, I'll wrap this up. I don't know how long you have on your break. Sorry, again, for those of you who are on Facebook side, I apologize. These are the YouTube channel. And as some people would say, YouTube's a place to be. But G-Webs was talking earlier about how he studied for a test, passed the test, and would recommend it. And I said, what, the studying or the particular test? And so making the brain work. And yes, having a mom who is suffering from dementia, making your brain work is super important. The longer you do it, the more you do it, the less likely you are to fall into that category of dementia. Although that does not mean that you're going to miss it. Hello, Mr. Ron Wayne. Nice to see you, sir. And yeah, it's like every moment is important, the good and the bad. And it's not to harp on this too much, and to sound like a broken record, because I'm sure that I often do, is just that I get to is probably one of the most important things that I learned, or I am learning, because, we're always learning to do more or better or that sort of thing. And not arguing. When you have someone with dementia in your family or near you that you spend time with, they're going to tell you a lot of wrong stuff. And you finally get to learn. There's no reason to argue. It's okay. They believe one thing, you know something else, and you don't have to prove them wrong. So being around the folks that have dementia is a blessing because it builds your character. And, this is where some smart aleck, Barbecue is not here, don't tell him to watch the replay, would say something like, yeah, you're already enough of a character. You don't need any more character building. But it's realizing each moment of clarity she has is a blessing. Each moment I get to spend with her is also a blessing. And unfortunately, in today's America, we tend to just go, 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 go. Constantly move, 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 move. Next, 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 next. And we don't take a lot of time to sit out here in the woods, in our fields, and connect with everything that's going on around us. So, with that, I know I'm early, and I'm not going to make this go on forever and a day. But I will say, I'm going to throw this back up here again. Savoring every moment is so important. And it's every moment. It's not just the good ones. It's also the pain and suffering. Think about the funerals that you've been to in your life. Now, when I go to a funeral, my goal is to make you laugh. However, that is not always appropriate. And I'm certainly not always appropriate. But the crying and the crying together as a family and the wailing and the loss and the stories. And there he is. See, if I let him go, he'll just go in circles like my conversations. But the bad stuff is what makes the good stuff so good. So tears are okay. The sadness is okay. It's okay not to be okay was one of my favorite things that I read on one of the veteran suicide pages that we've shared with you guys in the past. Pay attention. If something really sucks, generally try to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? A friend of mine is like, I hate that you say what's good about this. And I'm like, well, you don't have to say what's good about this when something totally sucks. But give yourself the option to realize that there could be something I need to learn from this situation. And then I'm just gonna say, hi, Pat Rax Attic. Wow, Pack Rats Attic. I get it now. Sorry, it took me a second. But that's what I got for you guys today. I will not be back here at 9 p.m. tonight. Like I said, I might hop on Hillbillies if I'm not sleeping tonight, since we get an extra hour of sleep tonight. Hope y'all enjoy moving your clocks forward or back, Yeah. If
Oh,
you're
shit.
smart, you'll move
Is
it
that
back
now?
because it's fall back. If you move it forward, then you're going to be 2 hours ahead of everybody. Unless, of course, you live in Arizona,
That means
because they
everybody's
don't move
moving.
their clocks because they're smarter than the rest of America.
No.
And I think there's somewhere else in America besides Arizona. But there you have it. Oh, and Ozzy comes in at the end. Haven't seen you in a while. See, this is one of those things. Like I said, doing the pop-up versus the 9 p.m., I get different people I haven't seen in a while. So, yes, there is. What do we have right now? I think we got like 3/4 of a moon. I think it's going towards full. So that's waxing, right? Waxing, because I try to remember. Waxing is adding wax to it. And waning is it disappearing slowly, I think. But anyway. All right, my friends. Well, thank you for hopping on this random time of day for our mental health matters. Once I'm off, by all means, like DJ always tells us, hit that like button, thumbs up, share it out, even if I am parking people, because someday G-Webs will make it to Connecticut, and then he will pet the dog, and then it'll be okay. Oh, Texas no longer has. I see. I am so blessed. I mean, I wish. Sorry, just one more reason to move to Texas.
That's good to hear.
No longer daylight savings time. This is our last fallback. That is awesome. Oh, and my phone is dying on top of that. So even though I've been trying to do some people say the Italian goodbye or the Irish goodbye, but either way, yeah, one more reason to go to Texas, man. I would love to never have to move our clocks ever again. All right, Hawkeye's come in for his close-up.
Look at that tail.
And Dio has advice for everyone. Stay out of that leftover candy. And we actually didn't have any. We did go out trick-or-treating, and my kids probably have Halloween candy, but I do not. So anyway. All right, my friends. Thanks for popping on. Been great to see you. Like I said, hit the like button, share, rewatch, all that fun stuff. Leave comments down below. Hope you enjoyed my backyard. All right. I think if I hit end, it will end. And it says yes. Goodbye, everybody.
That'd be a nice backyard. Look pretty good. All right. So a couple of people jumped in there. Gun Foodies out there. Welcome. And Suku. Then we got Ron Wayne. And Mopper said hey. And Foss, of course, is joining us out there. He does a show later on tonight. We should have chat battles more often. I don't know if anybody's got the cojones to do chat battles anymore. Of course, New York Outcasts have been out there. Peckrat is out there. Am I missing anybody? Woods? Did I say Woods? Oh, yeah, Richard. You're over there, or are you over here? I'm assuming you're over there. Black Guns and Gardens, if you're still out there, welcome. And that was everybody, I think. But if I missed you, say hey. I originally had asked everybody where you're all jumping in from, so everybody can say, hey, back in the old days when I was talking about Every Second Matters, it wasn't like we all just knew each other and decided to go online and chat. What was happening is YouTube created the live the live hangout in 2010, maybe 10, maybe 11. I don't remember really anymore. It's been a long time ago. But YouTube came around in 9, and I can remember everybody was chatting with each other on the forums because the internet was slow and people weren't really using the internet that much. Not that many people were using the internet, so it was like an intermittent thing, and the forums was a good pace. It was a good level of communication for everybody. But the internet was slow, and it was expensive to put stuff on the internet compared to now. And videos didn't really exist. So my digital camera, my first Kodak 1 megapixel digital camera, or at least the one that I was using, I think it was my first one, could do like a 30-second burst of video or something like that. And I was trying to explain to somebody how to put the lower handguard on top of a AK gas tube, and put the wood part on the gas tube, and describe it like revving a motorcycle or twisting a handlebar on a bicycle. And instead of trying to describe it because they weren't getting it, I made a quick video, and that was my first time putting video on the internet. I put that on YouTube because it was so hard to put it anywhere else. And YouTube let you put it up there for free. And then I could link to that. And then pretty much almost immediately, the forum started freaking out if you linked to the videos, because they're like, oh, go hang out on the videos if you want to hang out over there. And for me, it was like, all right, I will, because the videos are cooler than the forums were lame. The forums were hateful and mean, and people got in arguments all the time, and it was shitty. So I went over to YouTube, started making YouTube or videos, and I never looked back. So when YouTube started handing out money, I was first in line. Like, they threw money at us, and I was like, heck yeah, this is awesome. So they started paying us essentially, and it was great. So anyway, so whenever that happened, it was like 9 or 10, and then like a year later, so let's say 11, somewhere in there, we figured out Qik, QIK, I think, or QIX. And that was a system that let us be on our phones in the car connected to YouTube. So we were live, kind of like we are right now on StreamYard, except with this other service connected to YouTube. And that was amazing. So we could go live. There's videos somewhere out there of us going live in like 2010 or 11, going to SHOT Show, because we were playing with the internet and it was a thing we could do. So we went live like that. And a bunch of people were hanging out with that situation. And then we did a live game show, and that's where Never Enough Ammo came along. He dug it, and he kept doing lives all the time. And that's where Yankee shows up in his chats. And then that's when we started arguing. And then we all came to YouTube when they created Hangouts, and whatever Thursday that was. I remember it was like a Thursday, and I'm clicking buttons, and all of a sudden I can go live on YouTube without having to go to Qik. Or I think we were using Blog TV at the time, but whatever. There was other services that we were using to go live, and then we would stream to YouTube, but YouTube let us go live itself. And I went live right that minute, like boom, went live. And that was 12 or 11. I think it was a 12, probably 2012. And somewhere in there, that's when me and Haas went out. No, it must've been 11, because we were live for a while before Haas came down. And then me and Haas jumped in the cop car and started driving around, came back at the end of 2012 after driving around the country for a bit. And that's when bullshit happened in Connecticut. And, a month later, a couple of weeks later, the 13 executive actions came down. That's where we get to this. So that's where we started chatting live. And, we've been live since then. Shit, almost every day. Since 10. Yeah. 15 years of being live all the time. It's pretty neat. Let's see. Ozzy saying, just finished a holster for a Smith & Wesson Bodyguard, antiqued with Diamondback rattlesnake skin inlay. Right on. As you see, the barbecue holsters. Hazuku. Am I saying that right? If you like Glocks, just check out Stifler Manufacturing. Veterinarian owned. Interesting. I'm not sure if I know that one, but I don't know a lot of things. I got the thing set up so it's making the comments on the screen. Is it better with the orange background? Probably is. Than with the just the regular background. I could try a different background over here. I was about to end it, and then seeing that Brooke was corking me, so I just kind of let Brooke's show run, because it was 14 minutes or something. So I just horked her show. So Cork was this dude back in the day, and I don't know, I think he ran shows, but he was mostly a guest. He was kind of like, who was he like? Clover at this point. Like, he knew how to do a show, but he never did a show. And then he would be on other people's shows. And then I forgot who was live. It was like a Tuesday or something. Somebody was doing their show. And Quark was like, fuck it. And he just goes live. And it's like, what the hell, dude? Causing chaos. So that's how corking happened. When you go live because you don't give a shit. When even somebody else is supposed to be live. Let's see. So then I think that background works. I can see the comment, at least compared to all my other ones. The other one that might work is this one. but I need to come up with something a little bit darker background in the corner there. Most of these wash out the comments. I'll leave it on this one, even though it's not really a 2A workshop anymore. Or actually, this would have been a workshop. We hardly ever do workshops. Could do them. There's a lot of things to do workshops on. Security, what to be worried about, what not to be worried about, how to run a rally, how to run a gun show. That'd be cool. We need to interview a bunch of gun show promoters. Like I said, I think we were going to wrap this thing up. I was just about to say I'm going to take a minute to connect this show with Brooke's show when I found out that Brooke was live. So I will now take a minute to connect this show with Foss's show, which will be on later this evening in the overnight, technically. But I'll talk about Brooke's show here for a second. But right in the middle of talking about Brooke's show, we discovered that she was on, so I kind of shut up about it. But she's offering a consistent effort. Offering a consistent effort each week to focus on mental health. It used to be called Suicide Prevention Saturday, and YouTube's robots, its logarithms, whatever you want to say, are not able. They're probably capable, but they're not programmed to differentiate between the connotations of the word suicide. So even me saying it in this show will screw it up. Like I shouldn't be doing it. Because in the transcript or whatever, it'll hear that or see that or whatever, and it'll shit can the show, which, I don't care, but that's a factor. It's just a way that YouTube has decided to deal with the word suicide. Because of that, Brooke show similarly has been shit crapped or whatever you want to call it, like shit canned in the logarithm because she says the words too often. She had as the title of her show for too long, and she has no hopes of it ever getting reach because YouTube has again chosen to not differentiate between people putting positive effort out there to affect change on that aspect of society, and the few negative things. I can't even imagine there's too many negative things happening on YouTube with that. So it's really probably just lawyer paranoia that's, I think, stifling, if not crippling the conversation or the community, really, but or the efforts or whatever. But anyway, because Brooke's show is the only one out there, I like to always link to it. She's the only one, again, putting out any effort into changing that, moving the Overton window or changing the way that we deal with mental health. But since Brooke's already done her show, she corked us, we'll link to the overnight. If I put that over here, you can take a look at it by doing this. And that'll be on this evening. Looks like we'll be dogfighting in the show tonight. So that brings Gizzard up. One, he has the advantage by having wings. He's been used to flying. And maybe a disadvantage to barbecue because he hates airplanes. Foss, living where planes were created, probably has an advantage because I'm pretty sure they just let people fly anywhere they want in Seattle. But I don't even see if I'm even on here. So hopefully I'll get an airplane as well. A lot of times I get the shit can in the thumbnails. But that'll be later on tonight. You can watch that if you want, if you dare, if you're able. Like you have to have some stamina and some fortitude to take a nap earlier in the day and then stay up for the overnight. Unless you're one of those folks who does the work that everybody else takes for granted and you are up in the middle of the night doing all that work, then that's what that show's for. It's for you. So join us live. And nobody saying anything, so we'll just assume that everybody here is snoozing, taking us, is falling asleep. We'll be back to pick you up later. I don't think I'm missing anything. If I'm missing anything, stay tuned to the supplemental parts of this that will show up as an appendix. Hard to make a positive impact if you can't even say the words. Yeah, for sure. And that's one of those things where it's a small segment of the population that even pays attention, right? So it's never going to get what's the word, like attention. So it is what it is. We can deal with that and move on. That's what I say. Brooke sure has. She goes live all the time, and I thought today was a pretty good one. All right, again, thanks everybody for joining us, and hopefully you have a great weekend, great tomorrow. Go grab a puppy or a kitten if you got one around, squeeze it, and if you don't, then grab some person, I guess, and squeeze them.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with Music and the Truth Until Dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.